Nandi, we see you. Famile, we see you. It's okay. All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. So, out of the conversation that was had on Thursday, there was a lot of questions around the mommy slash daddy wounds, and I believe in conversation we were talking. It came about as also that actually it was a question, I just don't remember from who was asking how does, for example, daddy issues manifest in a male and how that could be different in a female, and equally so how do mommy issues reflect or rather present themselves in a male versus a female. And this is not by no means trying to diagnose anything, trying to deal with anything, but based on observations and perhaps your experience and the reflection of your own life. How do you see these things, play out? Could be for you, could be someone that you know very well, and yeah. So this is part of some of the question that came up on Thursday last week, and we were like, let's touch on it today, and let's see how it will go about. So please share the live, invite those who you think this topic would be relevant for, they would enjoy it, they would actually more than enjoy, contribute to the conversation at hand. I see you there, Neo Gratitude Mola. Is it Mola or Mola? How do you say it, Neo? Tembi, I see you. Thank you for joining. Kindly share the live, tap the screen. Let's get the likes going so that the live can be shared with more people and we can have this conversation. All right. I'm not going to restrict you much about the direction at which will you approach the topic in itself. That's why there's no question, there's no angle to it the way it has been put up. It's much more so that it can be almost open-ended. We will still try to keep it within, but I will allow it to go into any direction, then we can get into it. My 2 cents, I hope we'll be more focused on the wounds being an explanation rather than an excuse. Okay. Right. And how would you separate the two, Mokupe? I mean, it being an explanation, I'm assuming you are meaning an explanation of a person's behavior, an explanation of a certain struggle in their lives and whatnot. Whether that gets used as an excuse or a reason, how would we know? How would we differentiate that? Hello, Google and Kosi. Welcome. Kindly share the live, join in on the conversation. One is to clarify and provide context. The other is to shift and avoid blame. Okay. So how do we account for people being at different stages of the realization of these wounds and how they play out in their lives? I would assume they would ordinarily be a progression in terms of when you start realizing what is happening and you begin to work at it. Perhaps you might start off from the excuse element because that's quite common. And there is also one that is also common is one being oblivious to the fact that this thing affects them in that particular manner. So those, I think, would be the most common starting points, but there could be different stages to it. All right. So in how you are separating, one providing context or clarification and context, and one being a shifting or avoiding blame, how do we account for the fact that someone could be at different stages of these things? Hello, Patricia Nkala. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Non-Tlamtlam Shinini. Welcome indeed. Mapindi, I see you. Mrs. Mojaki, I'm assuming I see you. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Join in the conversation. Write a comment, request to join the panel. Let's have the discussion. Usually an excuse is when you're aware of a potential wound and play it as a card when you see fit. Okay, so the intention is not obviously trying to deal with or overcome the challenge or the wound or heal the wound in itself, but you are just using it when it suits you. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. All right, so this person is aware but perhaps afraid to confront, and afraid being my assumption. So because some could be willingly not wanting to confront it, but some could be afraid to confront it because we are also a little bit difficult, or rather much more, we always avoid having to face ourselves or the darkest parts of ourselves. So yeah, that could be the case. Hello Nika, welcome, welcome, welcome. You use it to manipulate people, knowing that you have wounds has suddenly become a weapon. Yay, yay, yeah. Okay. I think it's I hope I said that correctly. Oh, the people who belong to that language must not come for me, but I think it's much clearer, and we can move from that. So you would have people whom are aware of the wounds. Thank you, Akupe. People who are aware of the wounds, but they're using it as weapons rather than. Whew, I don't know where I picked up this, but I know it is from a movie and I don't remember it word for word. But the thing was, when someone has gotten so used to, let's say for example in topic, this mommy or daddy wound, that it has become all that they know, instead of then healing, because they know that healing this particular wound, they will get to a point where they have to now rediscover who they are. But because they've built a personality around this wound, they're afraid of how they will have to now discover themselves going forward, having won or overcome and dealt with this wound. So there's a huge difference between wounds and scars. Okay, Nico, come with it. Cook. Please cook. Me, I'll allow you to cook. Makupe was cooking her point. Please come through. Please come through. And I don't know whether this is a question or it's a statement. So let's come at it. And I'm even willing to edit there on the topic. Are we dealing with wounds or are we dealing with scars? But we can definitely clarify it. Okay, Makupe. Yes, some people wear pain as a badge. It's their brand. Yeah. And because I would think at the top of my head now, two ways to wear a badge of pain. There would be the way of saying, okay, this is the pain that I've suffered, I own it, but I have overcome, I'm a better person, and then there's it's my pain, it's who I am, someone did this to me, I did not deserve it, therefore I will be what this pain has caused me to be, blah, 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 blah. Two ways that I can think of that people would deal with it. About the sensor, good morning, sir. How are you? Hello, Ora. I believe that would be Ora Tile. Hey, Miss D. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, subs. I didn't see you coming. Hello, hi. It's almost like they don't want to let it go because it's been their companion for so long. Agreed, Makupe. Agreed. I'm just thinking about it. Scars are recognized and handled. Wounds? Okay. Okay. From the analogy of how we know scars versus wounds, obviously wounds would denote the freshness of the thing. And then scars, allow me, and this is not going to be Bible for this conversation, but allow me maybe to put it this way, Nico, that a wound would in this case, or in how I'm thinking it, does not necessarily mean that the wound is fresh, but perhaps you recently realized it, you are knee deep into it, it's still there. Whatever that happens when it's touched, you still react and all of that. Then a scar would then denote that you know the wound, you have now identified and worked at it, and now it's just but a scar. So you're no longer operating from the pain. You have healed and you continue, and yeah. So let's do that. I greeted y'all and I was ignored. So sorry, mommy man. So sorry. I don't know. I think I got caught up in the definitions and the thinking. I think a scar is a healed wound. All right. So yeah. So let's I guess we can maybe look at it both ways. I'm just not sure if we're gonna get meat when we look at it from the perspective of the scar. But I guess that would be more of, I guess, the warriors, who can now maybe give, how they dealt with the thing. And also the nature of some of these things, Nico, sometimes I don't know if they get to a point of it being a wound. For some people, it may forever be, scar. It may forever be a wound and not necessarily a scar. That's so weird. But that delicate moment between the wound and the scar, the scab, and sometimes it gets so itchy and you just want to go, yeah. Some people might deal with it like that for most of their lives, and I don't know if I should say that is okay, but if that's their reality, it is what it is, Nico. But the ultimate goal is to turn these wounds into scars. All right, healing is not linear. Okay, I think that is the point I was just saying now. Even when you see the scar, you feel different about it on different days. Agreed. And the scar can pain you also, depending on which wound we are talking about. Those operations that you do that react differently to the weather, so you could be having a scar whenever something else comes up, it brings that pain. Could be a real pain, could be a phantom pain, not too sure, but it will still bring that element to it. I've invited people from the live Saturday, so we need okay. I don't know what that means. Yeah, what you're saying is literally weighty. It makes sense. The scratching part. Yeah, so there are certain things that and also it depends on how someone values the thing or evaluates the thing in their lives. One could be like, you know what, this thing does not play a bigger role in my life. I'm willing to let it be. I'm aware of it. I'll try and work at it as and when I go, or deal with it as and when I go, but I'm not gonna actively give it my attention, right? Because maybe something else deserves the attention. So with a person like that, yeah, most likely they will be in that limbo situation of a scab, that itches, and because you're not aware, you just go, and then it's an open wound again. So Mr. KG, let's start by differentiating between a scar and wounds because someone might think it's the same. Okay, I think we've done that already, Reynolds, from the discussion, but I guess for the new people who are coming in, we will do exactly that. Makupe, hello, hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm hungry. You?
Like it's still I don't know. I woke up not feeling and not knowing how I feel actually.
And
Um,
it's okay.
yeah, just for today, we'll have a good cry or whatever we need,
And we move.
and we move on. But what's
That's
nang le
good.
borre, ba leng late, ba nyakang re buye le re tse definition. Yabo?
And he was there earlier. I don't know where he disappeared to. Because me, I thought he was there the whole way.
Tshwanetse o be le whiteboard ha re bolela
Eish,
dilo tse important o di paste mo wa di paste
boy.
di late
In actual
comers
fact, that's a good thing. Maybe
di
we should
shebe gore se
should
se
do
la
that.
now we
I
are
think
here.
so. I'll just that
um
I suck at multitasking, so
our
we'll
teacher
see. I'll give it a
wena
try. Ma'am, even as
ah
multitasking traps me for days.
no teacher.
But I'm getting a bit better at least because of the teachering. But hey, I still shows me flames. So
um
yeah, come with
yeah,
it.
taba tsa di
I'm gonna go make tea while you're speaking. Yes, continue.
ke work nna ke tshwane le wena phela I don't know how to speak by myself.
Yeah, you'll still see me. Don't worry.
You must
Don't worry.
respond.
Yes, I will. But then it means you will hear all the sound of the tea and everything else. But yes,
Okay.
continue.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I wanna not di mommy and daddy wounds is kind of tricky for me sometimes because
Uh-huh.
I think, and please don't get me wrong, I know there are varied degrees of these wounds, but
Okay.
I think most, if not all of us,
Mm-hmm.
have mommy and daddy wounds, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I said earlier, some people they have made it their brand.
Yes.
And kore everything e diragalang no it's because nna mma ka hanrate or nna ntata ka hanrate like uh-uh one
Mm.
it's not pretty anymore, it's not cute, and
True.
two
Uh-huh.
there's a point where you need to like take responsibility for your own actions.
Mm.
So yes, yes, your parents and you had a very painful and difficult relationship, and it shaped you a certain way, and
Yeah.
but now you yourself are a parent,
Yep.
or you yourself are an uncle or some sort of guardian,
Yeah.
and you're still blaming your own parent wounds. So you are going to inflict those wounds on this new generation now. So
Sure.
instead of actively doing something about it, you are
Yeah.
just going to wallow in that state.
Yeah.
You know, you will
Mm-hmm.
hear people still talking about how, like you are 40 years old and you're still complaining about how you are not your mother or your father's favorite. Um, you know, dilo tse
This is
bjalo.
not to you, Sabelo.
It's not to anyone. It's not to anyone. But sometimes it's just weird. Sometimes for me it's just cringe, and I don't like. really fagazing at
Yeah.
these kinds of topics because there's the potential of triggering people
Yeah.
and being hated,
Yeah.
you know. But guys, I've seen so many people where I was like, really, like your reason is that your mom has a favorite child, and that's why you're behaving like this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I could say it, guys. And what Nico is saying now is, yes, some of us are not even aware that we are wounded. And I think that's an important distinction. What I
Yeah.
said earlier on, Hore, there are people who use the knowledge that they are wounded
Yeah.
as a card. And then there are people, Vele, who are acting crazy and doing all these crazy things because they don't know that
Mm.
they are wounded.
True.
So I think also another important distinction is the awareness thereof. And I think there was a conversation that we were having gore wait sometimes le ntho tsa gore re tseba too much setse ra tseba ke tsona tse re tsang gore nje sibete sometimes.
Okay.
The fact that we can put titles and definitions to certain behaviors maybe is also the reason why these behaviors have become excuses, because you have you know what baby mommy and daddy wounds are, but you're not willing to do anything about it. So you have the semantics and the definition of things, but
Yeah.
you're not doing the work
Mm.
behind actually fixing that. So it's like, I know I've got cancer, I know what
Mm.
cancer is, but every time I'm supposed to do hard labor, I'm just gonna play the cancer card,
Mm.
but I'm not gonna go and actually get chemo or whatever
Mm.
you need to fix the cancer.
Mm.
But then there are people who have cancer and don't know. And ha re ukuka ntho go ba botlhoko mo a nang le cancer ha tsebe gore why
Mm.
e be a tlogela wa bona.
Mm.
Those are two different people.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. I hears you. I hears you. Um. Hmm. I don't know which direction I'm gonna take it now. Out of the things you mentioned, but let me go to Nico. Let me go to Nico. Um. In the case of what you mentioned, Nico, that some of us are not even aware that we are wounded. I understand. Help me put this thing right, Makupena. There is the element that you mentioned about Hobatsi Bingi. Now we know all of these terms and the definitions and all of that, right? And then there's an element where people do not know. And I want to almost ask that if you do not know that you are behaving this way because of this thing, is it really that you don't know? Is the question about not knowing what the cause is, or just not recognizing that you're behaving like a nonsense human being and you must do better generally? Is it that people don't regularly self introspect to see how they are and how they are behaving is palatable, at least for them, you know, and therefore maybe identify that, yeah, I mean, I can't be having 3 to 5 people saying the same thing, and then I say, "Kuti, no, it's their problem, not my problem," you know? Um, I don't know. I don't know. Also, would that be unfair to also expect someone who does not have tools um, to do this introspection? Because in any case, most of us, um, some of these things are given to us, and therefore we are able to know, okay, a little bit of this, then again go search a bit more. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here. Come through, Makupe.
Yeah. Yo, I think that one of the factors is often how you were socialized. Um, when you do something, ebe o kgalemiwa, or even when, especially if you're not aware of it, ebe o kgalemiwa, or no, but ko ga e vele re dira so. So everybody around you behaves like that, so you think it's normal. That's one. It may be the environment that you are in, and until you remove yourself from that environment, you won't see anything wrong with it, and you'll just keep telling people, "Oh well, everybody else that I'm around is okay with this, and they do it. You are the problem, right?"
Mm.
Or it's also that thing, yeah, where like the metaphor with the glasses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you walking around thinking "Gore wa bona," but how chaisa dilo, you think maybe, oh no, I'm just being clumsy or whatever, but you don't know gore a ke bone until
Mm.
o kenya di specs and you're like, oh shit, hey boo, bing nga bone, hey boo. I'm so obsessed with that meme. It's so hilarious. Hey
I
boo,
will.
bing nga bone.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? And it's not that you can really see. You still have messed up eyes, but now you have the
Mm.
tools to see better.
True.
You know, and it's up to you if you want to see, if you want to use the tools,
Mm.
if you want to keep cleaning the lens, if you want to keep updating your prescription. It's completely up to you.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
if you want to go get an eye operation, if you want to go to an optician,
Mm.
you can, if it's an
Mm.
option. Abo.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
about weighing your options also. Abo.
No.
So yeah, what depend, man. And each person is an individual, as I like to stress.
Yeah,
A re tshwane.
true. But in any case, fields like psychology exist because somewhere kuna thread. So, you
Yeah.
know, so in as much as we can be individuals, sometimes when stats is put into play, we start seeing that no, we are individuals, but out of 100 people, we are seeming to be getting the same behavior or same category of behavior, so we can then draw those conclusions. I want to go a little bit back to what Nico also just mentioned now, and I think you also mentioned it. And I think I said this in one of the lives, the issue of language, right, Nico, where you're saying the problem is naming, right? I mean, not being exposed to the language also plays a role. So, definitely, this one was an extract from, I think it was Instagram, where this person was then saying how when we can't find language or the right language for certain things, we may not even be able to deal with them purely because we don't know what this thing is. And the example they were making was that um, pain, this was not their thing, but pain is a feeling that can be caused or mistaken for different things, or rather can be felt through different things. Let me use that as an example. You could get pain where it's an emotional thing. It's words that have been spoken, but they invoke the same pain as if you've been hit with a fist into your gut, right? Um, However, the fact that what causes the pain, or rather, what causes the pain, and being able to identify that thing and put language to it gives you a bit of power, if anything, for you to ability to find the tools to deal with it. Right? I hope I did justice in trying breaking that down. But yeah, so you could find that grief, loneliness, what's another one, grief, loneliness, and another similar thing are all can all be put under the umbrella of being sad. right? But if you don't know what makes you sad, and I think all of us have gone through that, Makupe, today, you woke up feeling not sure what's happening. So until you're able to pinpoint why you are feeling this way, you may not know how to get out of it, so to put it. So language also becomes important in that manner. So Nika says it has become worse because mental health is not even recognized in our culture. Hi, Bokuningi. Hello, Tibatso. Saziman, hello, hi. Um, I see you, Lekharebe Tsoko. And Tulzen, we see you. Yes, in Psych 101, we were told that people generally fall under, yes, mad, bad, sad, good, whatever the case. But those are all umbrella terms. They could be different things that you're experiencing at that particular point that produces the sadness feeling. But if you don't know what it is, then we don't know how to deal with it. All right. Which then ties back to the point that Makupe said earlier on. People who know what it is that they're dealing with, but now decide to make it a weapon, decide to build an identity around it and wallow in it, and. So let me see. Okay, user hello with the green top and the hair. Kiachile hello. So, Emma Coop, I think my problem is that now you guys are bringing things that now make me think, and my script messed up, messed up because my brain is just like, hello, hi. Oh, that's good. Let's deal with that one. Ish, forget our stress, man. But in any case, we are here. Malabo Wallet Top 7. Hello, hi.
Hello, hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very well. Your voice sounds like you are walking by the beach there in a sunny environment, holding a coconut. Okay, that thing is ugly. Holding something nice in your hand. That's how it sounds like.
I'm alright. Thank you anyway.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. First.
Good, good, good. Come with it.
No, I just joined.
Ah, I just arrived. I just arrived. So we are talking about, I don't know if you can see this, if I'm even pointing at the right thing, mommy and daddy wounds, right? So from the conversation we had last week, there was some questions that came about, and someone was like, you know what, I would like us to talk about mommy, daddy wounds. And if we're just talking about how there is a difference between wound and scars, and this may be two different perspectives that someone can come at this topic with. So mommy wounds would be, for example, or mommy or daddy wounds could be the usual daddy. What's the usual term we use, Makupe? Daddy.
Issues.
Daddy issues and mommy issues. That's the term that we use colloquially. So daddy issues, mommy issues. So we could experience this differently based on you being a male and you being a female, right? But then another perspective was brought in that you could even have no absence of parents, or rather both of them in the same house, but you still have wounds, right? And we are like, okay, maybe we need to explore this a little bit more. And that's what we're doing today. So now that you're caught up, there is no angle. Come at it how you are hearing it, how you understand it, what popped into your mind first. And we will realize things as we go in this conversation. You're probably going to change your mind while you are at it. It is fine. We're just having chats. So come with it, okay? Let's go.
Okay. Let me just let me try to put my head
Yes.
all over it, and then
Peace.
yeah,
Let's go.
I guess. No, I just can't go on it right now.
How?
She just
Mane.
arrived.
I just arrived, Makupe.
What's the
Wait,
process?
lerata o simara, man. Lerata o simara.
I just arrived, Makupe.
That speed, man.
I want to touch something more. She wants to
And o tla
process.
tlhatlhamololwa ge. Yay!
You know? Okay, you know what I can do? I can talk about my personal story with my parents.
Okay, let's go.
And then maybe it will trigger something. It will inspire, motivate a response.
You know? Let's go with it. Yes, please.
So, as many of you may know, my mother, o Ompelegang, o tlhokofetse ke na le 5 years, right? Then I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandparents became Mama le Papa. They are Mama le Papa. They're still around, and I was raised as if vele ke ngwana bona. I never felt gore, you know, whatever. I don't have a mother. All these things, ne? But they never hid that my mother passed away. So I always knew that they are my grandparents.
Okay.
But I knew gore ke Mama le Papa. I don't know how they articulated it in a way that I understood it as a child, or maybe I felt it from the way they treated me that I am their child. I don't know. But hey, my relationship with Mama was very tricky. Mama nashapana, nashautana, and Papa was the more gentle, soft-handed parent. I don't remember, even to this day, hearing Papa raise his voice at me. I don't know what that's like. He has never put his hands on me. The toxic thing, or I don't know if toxic is the right word, but the thing that he would do that was like really ick now that I'm an adult is silent treatment. Yo, that man could ignore you. If you piss him off, he will ignore you. And it, depending on your crime, it can range from a day to up to a week.
Sure.
And when he comes back to talking to you, he comes back with a jab, you know? So it was that kind of situation. And I believe that I was very fortunate for when I was about 2021. Mama had a conversation with me. And she apologized for how she may have disciplined me and things like that. And we had a conversation about that. And what I took from that, and I hope that even when I am a parent, guys, you really can't win as a parent. Because what she said was she did what she knew. At the core of what she was doing was that she loved me and she wanted the best for me. So she didn't want to harm me. But because that's how she was raised and she believes that she turned out fine, then she instilled the same discipline or the same method of discipline, monna. And only to find as she's exposed to more information and talking to other people and, you know, watching TV, she realizes that maybe she doesn't know did she abuse me or not, but she was very stern in the way she disciplined me, and she's sorry for any wounds that she may have created from that, right? And I accepted her apology because it takes a lot for somebody to reach that point. One, and two, I don't know how many people have actually heard that from their parents, and how many people actually need to hear that from their parents. And to be honest, Mama was really not that bad, you know. So the fact that she could apologize, like, you know, I have always had a mouth, so I'm sure she would be like, I can't. You know?
Especially the typical thing of parents saying, I never used to ask my parents questions. So obviously they would not know how to deal with a child who asks questions. But
I think my parents cursed the day I learned the word why. Cause I will wire your ass until you sleep.
Yeah.
Why? So I'm sure Baba was just like, you are lumtana, you know?
Mm, mm, mm,
So yeah, but what the wounds of uh, having strict parents for me, as I'm looking in retrospect, is
yeah.
uleka almost self-confidence. You lack confidence in making your own decisions
Mm,
because your decisions have always been made for you. You doubt
mm,
yourself, and you almost have a fearful approach to life. You're scared to do things because you constantly need approval and a stamp to do things. You want, I mean, even now, if let's say I have a conversation with a gentleman, okay, we want to move in together. The first thing that's gonna come to my mind, 30 million years, what are my parents going to say? What are my parents going to think? I still need my parents' approval,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
But maybe not as much as I may have before therapy or whatever. So
mm-hmm.
it may be difficult to make choices for myself now, but I still do. I moved out despite protests and emotional blackmail. I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, uh, Marashem, to be honest,
Mm,
I really, really, really pray for parents. Um, I really hope, Jorge, you know that what you're doing is enough and what you're doing is what you can do with what you have, you know?
mm,
Don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to ask people around you to check your blind spots. We need to go back to people being raised by a village, because doing things by yourself is not it, guys. You know,
mm,
and now I was raised by a village because
mm,
if I come home and I see my uncle's car parked outside, I knew it was an intervention. I would start thinking, "Gore ke dirileng?" Now I'm doing an inventory of Mahabane, ke dirile so, report sharp, dilo tse jalo. And
mm,
okay, uncle is here, and Lena sometimes he would overdo it. So what he'd do is, depending on my crime, he would
mm.
drive me ko Davidson go na le graveyard ba re ke ko Phumlane. On your way to Phumlane, there's a squatter camp.
Okay.
So we will drive in silence. On our way there, we're driving, Refita Phumlane, and he wouldn't go nuclear on me because Pumlani is also where my mom is raised, is buried. So we wouldn't go inside the graveyard,
Mm-hmm.
but we'd pass the graveyard, then pass the squatter camp, and then on our way back home, he's like, "Wabona mo re fitileng, re fitile graveyard, re fitile. Wabona batho ba ba phelang mo. Continue on this path." you will find yourself you will find yourself there, my dear. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's that. I hope
Hmm.
Malebu thotse something gebenong ke feletse ke ditaba.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I see already Subs has done the things, and I'm seeing Sis D there. Literally, Sis D, we were talking about you last week, and we're like, we need to bring you in on this one and look at you being here. If you're able to, Mama, do come through. We're basically talking about mommy or daddy issues, and we decided to use the word wounds because that's how it was phrased last week when it came as a question. And the person was just asking how she was curious to find out how we deal with mommy wounds or daddy wounds and how those present themselves in, or how do they affect males and females, that we can see the difference in, right? And so that's how the question came about, and we're like, okay, no, cool, let's have it this week. and just hear how we can talk about this, and maybe in your experience and what you can speak to on this, we would really, really appreciate that. And Malebo, do you want to now speak? Or you're still defrosting?
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Let me start from this. My first time like joining this live, I was just passing through, and then I
And
got
then they go to
open tshwara, wa ntshwara, and then each and every time I join, ho bua
yeah.
dintho tse very like ke tla re tse jwang? Tse, like around me, dintho tse familiar,
Wow.
like.
Okay.
But today, you guys, Liwes, li sharply on the nail and lampea mo paneling. What have you done to me right now? Because I feel like Makupe, thank you so much. You did help, but then
Yeah.
I felt like the wound. I thought this was the scar, only to find that it's a wound, and then the wound keeps on. Like I think, like you feel like for this wound, and then every time anything that it's when we talk about it, the wound just comes back again. I wouldn't say, I would say, let me say something like, one would say, I don't have to compare, but I would say I have a dirty wound, a
Okay.
very deep one.
All right.
And it's very deep because I think of the absence. The
Okay.
absence of my dad being not there. And then at some point I made peace with it, that okay, it's fine. I don't know what happened between the two of them. So I made peace, he's not here. And yeah, it's fine. Let me just go on with life with the person who is around, my mom. Then I think I grew like that from like maybe 9 years, because I think they separated around when I was 9. So then I grew that way. It was fine, and then my mom was like taking everything on by herself. It was fine, and I got to like, I get to make it like a drum, but I already forgave him. But then I just told myself, let me just move on. Ke be happy ka se ke nang le sona. Moved on, go to like okay, let me say I'm from Lesotho, and then so dintho tse ding tse ke tlo di bua like tsa sekolo and stuff, they won't sound familiar with some of
No
the
problem.
ladies of brothers in here. So I got to secondary, and then he wasn't there, and I wasn't even looking for him. And then
Okay.
in high school, I changed school to the other school. When I got there, it was the first year there, the second year, and then the guy, boom, one morning he was there. I was told by a principal that someone is here. He wants to see you. Ooh, I was like, who wants to see me? And then I could recognize him when I got to the principal's
Office.
office. I could recognize him. Guy was like chilled, Ikare o ntse a see you all along. He was like, o qetetse go mpona maobane. I was like so happy. And the other thing, that day in Turkey, most I felt like wa booster. He's full of himself,
Okay.
and then I felt like this guy bringing all this here. Why? Why now? Why here? Okay, fine. He was there and then asking, now who's wrong and everything. I was like, I know, I'm fine. Okay, he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Just there, just kolone. And I also have to go back to classes. He was like, I'm sorry for being absent. But believe me, from now onwards, nna le wena ge so, ke nna le wena, and then I will try. I'm gonna make up for all the time that I lost. Me being a child, and ebile ke feel like I have forgiven this person. A khutla hape pelong ya ka, I felt like my dad is back, Yeah, in this position, and I have dreams. I wanna go to varsity. I wanna do stuff. Even if my mom akabale problem, my dad is back. He will work around it. Guy, guy just disappeared again. Disappeared again, and then that was it. The high school phase, Yafita, then the tertiary phase. I had to oreke skolong. My mom was supposed to pay for everything. And then she didn't have much until when we were there, Nikelemo, and then we were told to Koseki is not going to be sponsored. Every person, we battle. I got stuck.
Sure.
Let me tell you what I learned. Hakisalemo. I knew his car from that time,
Okay.
and then I said to one of my friends, I see this car Itlamo every afternoon after classes and picking someone, and this car looks familiar. And then the friend was like, you know what? Let's make sure we get to see the owner ya koloi e. The other afternoon after classes, we made sure, and then guess who was the owner ya koloi? My dad. My dad, I think he was dating this young lady. I think she was in maybe second year when I was in first year.
Yeah.
So yeah, the situation was that I'm at this point whereby there's a possibility of dropping out, and this guy here he is, and then doing this thing and making sure okay she's getting her education or making things easier for her.
Yeah.
But then still again kaba that strong. I just okay, it's fine. I dropped out because no sna chelete ya hore ke tswele pele ka school. And then the guy umponi and he knew hore ke kena sekolo mola, even though he had ntho ya hore a ka ba le ditlhong tsa hore that's my daughter, and then I have this lady again a same school le yena wa bo. Umponi is fine. Life ya tswela pele ka phela bophelo ba ka. He went on. I think around 2020, I made means, man. I met someone, and then kamujweza ka situation. I met someone that I loved very dearly. He loved me very dearly. And I told him about the situation. He was like, do you mind if Remobatla like find Horena Ohokai? And then we did find Ramobatla, Ramotol. But the guy was still like not we have the father-daughter relationship. He was a bit distant. Every time I would be the one who wants to, even the call. When I call him, he'll be like, you know what? I lost my phone. What? This is so painful, guys. I'll just try. It's a very deep wound. I thought that I dealt with this, but till now, today, I feel it's a very, it's a deep wound. Okay, it's fine. 2020, what passed? Last month, I got a call. I got a call from someone that knows him, and he has my number. He was like, you know what? I have bad news. Your dad passed away. My dad passed away. Okay. I didn't know what to say or what to do. But I have this wound, man. So only to find that this guy, but around him, they are not there for him, even now that he's dead. These people kept on calling. We don't know what to do. No one is coming here to claim his body, whatever. So I had to take time out and then travel to Free State.
Sure.
Yo, guys, travel to Free State and make sure that Guy or Obali maybe a decent funeral. There was no one like from the family, and I don't even know my family, because I knew batho ba baholo, and batho ba baholo ba ne ke ba tseba, they passed away. So then I don't know about bana ba hae ba bang, because I did ask him in 2020 if ho na le bana ba bang. He was like, yeah, but every time I called and then ke batla ho kopana le bana ba bang, he didn't give me the opportunity. Yeah. So the only thing I want to say is this is a very deep wound, and Guy just passed away recently. I'm dealing with it. Of hore na ke tla heala jwang, I don't know. But the other thing ke hore ntho ke e bonang hore e tlisa ntho ela ya the confidence, the was ne ke se good enough ho ba ngwana hae, ne ho no etsahalang. So it gets to the point whereby I meet like a man, and then I feel like hanyane this person is not treating me right. I run. Like ke tswa life in your high, and then ke tlo sheba morao ke tswile hore, but was it necessary for me to just leave this? So I think that's my story.
Wow, awesome, first of all, I don't know which word is correct, but let me say I'm proud of you. That you, first of all, talked about it. And I think particularly with the recent passing, and I understand what you mean by saying you thought this was just, a healed wound, or you're over it, or whatever the case. But the way earlier on we're describing that, Honalin then it starts healing, just that scab, and then all of a sudden something comes up and just scratches all out and becomes a wound again, and all of that. So fortunately for you, the person who's above you there could say a couple of things to you, and sorry to put you in this position, Sis D, but if you would like to, you could speak to Malebo, and yeah, can you come through, Sis D?
Okay, morning, everyone.
Hello, hi, Sis D. How are you?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I haven't seen you guys in a long time.
It's been a while. But I understand you're busy, but we are fortunate that you're here today.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for the opportunity. This topic it's an ever-going challenge.
Yeah.
It never stops. It's always from either of the parents. It could be a
Sorry, Mama
baby,
D.
it could be,
I don't know what happened, but you moved away from the mic. Now we can't hear you well.
Oh, well, can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's good. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I was saying it's all sometimes, mostly it would be daddy issues, but there are definitely mommy issues. So the thing is, it's a never-ending cycle of abuse, of hate, of harm by parents to their children. But what I have seen in Malibu, I'm sorry about what you went through. You're so many times being disappointed. It's always better when you know that somebody is not in your life and that's it. But when they come and promise you and disappoint you and promise you again and disappoint, it's very toxic. I'm sorry about what you went through. I hope that you get some help, because you will need to get help definitely. But what I was saying is that, generally, even from a personal experience, let me put it like that. You know, the way I was raised, Kohai, I was raised in a pastor's house. So there are rules that are, relevant to a pastor's house, ngwana moruti tshwantse a itshware this and that and that and that. And the language, e buiwang ka mo gae, the behavior, everything about a child. But obviously, even other homes, Moising pastors' homes, there are rules generally. And when we check where do these rules come from, they were given to them by their own parents. They were raised in a certain manner, and they believed that this is how you raise children, including the one we normally refer to today as black tax. They were taught that how simula bereka, you must help ka mo gae, you must buy groceries, you must pay rent, you must do this, you must do that. In fact, you must give your parents money, and they believed it's because you're going to get blessings and whatnot and whatnot. So they will come and raise their children like that. I was raised when I started working, my first salary was just bampile tšhelete ya go palama for the next month and said, re boxa ka mo gae, and yeah, and I did that with my two first kids. But then after that, and I was like, Mara, why?
Wow.
Why? This is now when I started, Kiki Simula Khalifa as a parent and changed my parenting patterns, because I could see, but this right. I will not do it with the other two younger ones. So I corrected myself after noticing, but it was innocent, because I thought the way my parents raised me was correct.
That's correct.
But
Yeah.
in years as a parent, I could see and pick up some things, but this was not right. I will not do it with my children. But then it took me in realizing what was wrong with the way my parents raised me. And I'm not saying everything about it, but there is a lot that I picked up that this is not right. I will not do it to my children. The funny one is that I don't know if some of us know Toting is paid. you know
Yeah.
I vowed I will never get paid any of my children because the way Nanagis thing, I was traumatized as a child.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I understand where they came from, who uses paid, because they believe for it's medical, but solve a problem eating. But yeah, I never used it on any of my children, including my first two. So all I'm saying, guys, is that let us understand where our parents came from. Their upbringing could be the very same thing as they are now hurting us unintentionally. And can we take a lesson from that and do better as parents so that we break this cycle of abuse by parents, break it from us so that our children, when they learn parenting from us, they will be better parents.
Definitely.
It's just unfortunate that this is how things happened. But I just ask that really let's do better. Let's learn from our parents' mistakes. And when we take lessons from how they parented us and how it harmed us, then we are going to parallel to that. We are going to have to forgive them.
True.
Because we understand that it was not intentional. Some of them really, they don't know what toxicity is. They don't know what is wrong with the parenting they received. So how are we going to blame them on that one?
Totally.
Blaming also prohibits from forgiving. If you keep on pointing a finger and pointing a finger and pointing a finger to somebody who's not even aware that they did something wrong, that one, it prohibits you, and you will not heal, the soonest. And so langa also healing, it hits you. Pick up on all sorts of medical issues.
Sure. No, totally
Yeah.
agree. And just the comment Dama Coupe just made me think about this question. Maybe I can direct it to you. How then, let's say you have identified, you have done the work, maybe not necessarily done the work, but you have identified this issue that you have, and you're trying to make sure that you don't extend it to your kids, right? But then there's the concept of overcorrecting.
Yeah.
How do we then strike the balance between, o hotse o peitiwa a wa tlo peita bana, but in this very instance ngwana o tlhoka speiti for whatever medical reason, are you not gonna do it or what? So how do we strike that balance just between, yes, I'm trying to correct the wrongs that I have experienced, but how do I make sure that I don't overcorrect in this case?
So, if we were to continue on the spade issue, ne, there were times what I would feel that, this is where my mother would be spading me. But because I know what I can't, I have that trauma, I don't want to make mistakes. I would say rather get somebody who can do that, or get an alternative solution to the problem,
Great.
in it has paid, so that uske wana ignorant, because remember, it's not everything wrong about speed. Nna ne ke se tshaba, and ne se le botlhoko, you know what I mean? But I do know gore after mama would have paid at me, I would feel better.
Better.
O understand, the nausea e ne tla be ke na le yone, or whatever, diarrhea nyana eo ya malafeli, as we grew up go na le malafeli. But doctor ba ske ba ntshapa on this platform. Doctors, please forgive me. But, not everything in Mbaiyeta was bad. Like Lengana. Lengana is very bitter, but Lengana, I know for a fact, gore le ane le bitter. When ona le sefuba se ne se sa fole, mama na re fa Lengana, in fact, she had it in the yard, I jet as a plant. Ne le bereka Lengana.
Definitely.
So because I was not traumatized by Lengana, but I knew it has a bitter taste, but it worked, I would
Yeah.
definitely, So it was just a balance, deal with these issues, with your mind in the correct place, to say they were not harming me, they were trying to help me. Unfortunately, their means of helping me were not working for me. I will not do it. But whenever you can, give them their flowers, guys. Let's give them their flowers.
I agree. I agree. No, nicely put. Thank you so much, Shisti. Much appreciated. I think, I love how you're saying that. Oh, my head right now, if you guys can see it, there's just too many things happening. But nonetheless, I'm trying to, grab here and grab here. But I really appreciate that, Shisti. And by the way, Malebo, if you would be interested, Sis D is a registered counselor, and she regularly hosts sessions, if I'm not mistaken, Sis D. I don't know if it's monthly or every week, but I remember there was times where some you do every weekend and whatnot. to deal with some of these things. So she does charge, but if you can just check her profile, communicate, perhaps you can definitely, deal with this wound. And I think right now, sad as it is, there's an opportunity for you to close the chapter, and I'm just borrowing to what Sis D was saying earlier on, that sometimes it's better when you know that the person is not in your life, then you can deal with that. So in this particular instance, then that, okay, he has passed. I can fully deal with this thing and move on, and there's at least that comfort that there's not gonna be chances of reoccurring hurt, so to put it. So I think if you can look into it and have a chat with this D, she can see how, or advise if she's able to assist you, or if there's any referrals, and you can deal with it that way. But for me, I would advise that you deal with it, particularly fresh as it is. I don't know if it helps. It will help per se, the professional will say, but deal with it, so that you just don't drag it for too long, and like you have already stated, that you have seen how it has manifested itself in relationships that you are having with the male counterpart. So if you can deal with it, please deal with it, so that it can move. And I won't say that we won't trigger you again, Momoko, in terms of, like you said, that we bring things you can relate to, and sometimes we hit it on the spot. But it's just also an opportunity to just hear other people's opinion. And fortunate, like today, we have a professional counselor who could, definitely assist you. And I know she did not necessarily speak directly to your issue, but with the things that she has mentioned, you can borrow from that and, try and work it out like that. So thank you so much for being vulnerable, and thank you so much, Sis D, for speaking to this. You can feel free to go, Sis D, if you still have sessions that you need to do, but if you will still remain on the panel, we'll really appreciate that. I don't know, Sis Malibu, if you wanted to say something before I give. Okay, Sis D, come through, then I'll give my label.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think I can still be here another 30 minutes or so.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm available.
All right. Thank you so much. Malibu, do you want to say something?
Okay, the only thing I want to say right now is just thank you guys. Thank you so much. And then, yes, yeah, I need help. I really need help. And then I will I will get in touch with Sis D. And thank you for Hunshambalas.
I don't
In a
even
good
want
way.
to apologize for it, because I can't promise I won't Shambalaza you again.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
It's always a pleasure, Mama. It's always a pleasure. And I think another thing that we try and do on the platform, and someone made me aware of this, just to equally, we try and be careful not to bring up things we cannot handle. And also, we don't want to be pretending to be professionals in any capacity, right? If we can speak to something, we will speak to it. But all of it is just, as we all, Makupe says, in terms of, we need to bring back the community building, or raising a child as a community. And that's just what we're trying to build here, to just say you have people who can just be an ear, who can comment as far as they're able to, but in no means we don't want to diagnose anyone or pretend that we are helping when we could be making things worse. So we only want people to be free and speak as when they feel like they can do, because also speaking does, either get the ball rolling in terms of healing, or helps you just get something off your chest, and then from then onwards you can also see how you can deal with it. So thank you so much, Osmalebo. Really appreciate that. Makupe, do you want to say something at this point while I check the comments and see what I missed?
Ke tla reng motho wa Modimo?
Nna ke dula ko force bua fela.
Ke tla reng motho wa Modimo?
Yeah.
Yeah, ne. Ibima. As Osmalebo was talking, I think I wrote in the comments, I remembered, Kana, I have a biological father, and I don't think I ever speak about him. I remember
Yeah.
he exists when I'm with my sister, who I recently reconnected with or connected with. And as I was listening to Malebu, I remember, so my dad doesn't live far from my home. Like Gabon, my dad, it's not far from Kuchai.
Okay.
And I'm very happy that my parents were very transparent with me. They made sure I knew who my mom is, I knew who my dad is.
Yeah.
No surprises, because if you hide things from your kids, there are vultures that are waiting to come and tell your child, and they will control the narrative.
Correct.
So they controlled the narrative very quickly. So one day, my grand unruma gore ko reka ha ke tsebe eng ko molong, and of course I'm tšhelete taxi, but what did I decide to do? Ka bona gore tšhelete taxi ke a ipokothela, ke tsamaya ka maoto.
Yeah.
So gabo my dad ke Main Street,
Okay.
hey, ke a tsamaya, and then ha ke jika ka khona, you can see nje a wedding go monate. I was about 12 years old at the time. Ha ke re main character ke abuti, uh it was icky, because I feel like you can walk to my house and tell us that homeboy is getting married, dilo tse dialo nje decency,
True.
but guys, I think I don't talk about these things because tsona di a gobatsana. At the same time, the way I rationalized my dad's, especially when I was older, how I rationalized my dad not being in my life was gore. So my mom passed on when she was 22,
Okay.
and ha ntse ke gola ka nagana gore hi man, now if I'm 22 or 23 or 24, I don't know how old my dad was at the time. I imagine it may have been too painful for him to be able to have me in his life. And as a result, even the relationships that I've had, I think I also rationalize men treating me badly because of that, you know? So, ke tla nagana gore, hi man, he's doing this because hana relationship le mmagae. He's doing this because, so I'm always rationalizing bad behavior. And I think that's where it stemmed from. Babo? So, yeah, that's a tip. It's a
Yeah.
very, very rare time where I will talk about my dad, but I have no beef with him. Once in a while, he'll talk to me, and I get to. I made a joke the other day. He texted me 2 days before my phone broke down, and then my phone broke down, and I was like, damn, this is why my phone is like, what the hell is going on? California team, I'm
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Sure.
So yeah, no, I'm good.
I
But
hear
yeah,
you.
guys, la khobatan. This thing of leaving your seeds everywhere, you are creating human beings and you are hurting people. You are affecting people's lives, and
True.
it's not good.
Yeah. And it's even worse, even when people create human beings and they're there, but the whole toxicity, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, and growing up doesn't make it any easier. And I don't know. I've just, you know, I remember words my dad spoke, and they were not necessarily directed to me, um, but I think I internalized them. I don't know how much though, but they brought in a bit of fear of God in me, in a sense. So he was then also speaking to a similar thing, and he was also reflecting from how he was raised and how I think his father remarried, and some of the things that he found out and whatever the case. So, and he was saying that, people tend to not, or parents generally, because of, I guess, the selfish nature of human beings, we either choose not to see how what we do affect kids later on, and granted, many things will affect kids in their older lives, but at least when you bear in mind that whatever that I'm doing, how can it affect my child? Sometimes you may not know, but at least having that awareness of saying, how can this affect, good or bad? That yes, I'm doing this thing that is good for my child, but how will it affect them in the future? And for example, a parent would give their child everything that the child wants because you feel that, I am supporting and I'm giving my child everything and whatever the case. But we see how even in that goodness of providing for a child when other people don't provide for them, can still result in a certain way that your child, grows up to be something else that you did not hope for. So I think we definitely need to consider how these things, good or bad, affect and could affect our kids going forward. Just reading the comment from Sisti, considering our actions and decisions will affect our kids. Yeah. So that is basically that. Just come through, Sisti.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Very true what you're saying, that I always, most of the time, in fact, say to parents, be they as a couple in marital counseling or as single parents, that, when you become a parent, practically it means yourself ceases to exist. When I say yourself, I mean you as a person. Whatever you do from then going forward, from the time you become a parent, really has to do with mentoring the child that you're bringing to this earth. Because they don't know. Babies, as they come into this earth, they are a clean slate. They cry because they have no vocabulary. So you start by teaching them vocabulary. If you teach your child as a vocabulary to say, when you are wrong, I'm going to beat you up, this is exactly what this child will know. That for me to sort out a problem, I have to be violent. It's unintentional, but because it was brought to us, we are taking it forward to our children. That's why I'm saying, if we can only be conscious that as the minute you become a parent, you must understand that you're responsible for this child, whatever they become. Yes, in some instances, children turn out to be what their parents didn't raise them to be.
Correct.
But you will have peace knowing that I did the best. When you are saying that, you do and you give your children everything just because you can afford. I've been in that space before. And because of the upbringing I received, it is one thing that I said, I will never give my children everything just because I can afford. Why? Because I was afraid to say, if I drop dead now, I don't want my children to be, to have people saying, we can't afford these children. We
True.
can't. Ga gona motho o tla ba tsayang in the family because they were just spoiled. You
True.
understand? And for that matter, I'm not helping my children because tomorrow I might not be there with everything that I can provide now. And they find themselves having to go and ask for help or lacking anything. They will not be able to survive that. So I would just delay it or, intentionally and say to them, no, I can't do it. I will do it for you in 3 months, knowing that I can do it immediately. But I wanted them to experience how it is not to have something immediately so that it builds their patience
Patience.
skills. They must know how to, my pleasure, Sissy. They must know how to be patient and know that it's okay to be patient. They must
True.
know how it feels for somebody who lacks something because I would tell them, listen, this thing is not fitting you anymore. I would compile diaparo tsa bone, the clothes that they don't feel fit them anymore. Go with them to that orphanage,
Mm.
to donate. I was teaching them life skills. So it's for us to really know that we are imparting so much to our children if we can only be conscious so that it makes us make better decisions in mentoring and raising our children.
True. True. True.
Yeah.
No, nicely put, Sisti. I really, and I'm also paying attention to the word you keep on using, mentoring, because I think even in observation now and in our past, there was so much about just raising kids and not so much the element of mentoring. It's almost like, we raise you up, and once you are 16, 18, or whatever age that you eventually leave the house, either to go work or to go to school, that's why re the saying, "Our
Yes.
because at some point we did not, our parents, or parents as general, let me not even say our parents as general, don't know when to transition between raising a child and then mentoring a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I'm paying attention to that word because it's very important that there comes an age where you have done all you could in terms of the foundation. Now you mentor,
Yeah.
and yeah, plays a good role. No,
Yeah. No.
you can speak, Sis D.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that, mentoring part as parents. Because it's exactly that. It's parallel to raising them, it's for you,
The
it's
audio
you
has changed
providing as
again,
a
Sis
parent.
D. Yeah, now
Oh
it's
no,
better.
how is it now?
Yeah, now
Okay,
it's better.
thank
Yeah.
you. All right. I'm saying I take them apart, these two principles, the raising and the mentoring. For me, raising your children is you providing for them, their needs, taking care of their needs, taking care of their security, well being all round. But the mentoring part is that thing that we also do without being conscious for it. As you do whatever you do as a parent, opela, you are mentoring your children. They are watching. This is you now. The mentor will not sit down necessarily with you and say, this is how we do it.
Yes.
We watch what our mentors do and we learn from their actions. So as soon as your children know how to interpret your behavior, this is now where they learn. This is where you are starting to mentor them to whatever they will be, you know. And
Sure.
this is the most important, because in your absence, whether by death or in your absence, whether by distance, ba le ko tertiary, ba le ko manyalong, and whatever, ko mesebetsing, your mentoring is going to come through.
Sure.
Your mentoring is going to come through. You know, the good thing when I grew up was, in our household, respect was the most important thing. Whatever you do, respect your net comes first. And subconsciously, I did that. I drilled it to my children up until this day. When I meet anybody who works with my kids, ba gola le bona wherever, in my absence, when I meet those people, say maybe ko mosebetsing wa my son or my daughter or something, anybody who, you know, lives and interacts with my children, they, especially the elder generation, they will say to me, you know, respect ya ngwana hao, you know. And this is where I picked up, oh, so it was drilled gakana ko gae. I drilled it to my children. Look where we are now, you
Sure.
know. So in ntho ya gore your mentoring is, it is the most important. Whatever you do, your actions, your behavior, your children will copy it more than what you say.
Sure.
I think I
Yeah.
stop now for a bit.
No, thank you so much, Sisti. Thank you so much. No, definitely the case. And I think with the raising of kids, and I like how also still the wording that you've used when you are now, giving context to what it constitutes raising, because some people think, well, also that's all they know, but think that taking your child to school, clothes, Dijon, all of that, that is the fullness of parenting, that they just think that providing for your children is what then parenting is. And that's why we sometimes have kids who are like, yeah, no, I've got everything from my parents, but for example, my parents are not at home because they are working so hard to provide the money that allows me to live the lifestyle that I live, but they're not at home. That could be another example easily of them saying that, yeah, you are raising them and you're providing for them, but you're not at home in terms of you mentoring them and making sure that they grow and whatever the case may be. So that is that, and I'm seeing Malebo. Noted, Malebo, no problem. We really appreciate you coming to the panel. So yeah, I strongly believe that the pre-parent counseling is important. Go yo. No, it's important. Actually, we must look into this thing of pre-parenting. I don't know what they call it. I don't think they call it parenting counseling, but there's a term for it, and we need to do much more of that. But yeah, because yeah, no, kuraf. I just created it. Yes, indeed. Marakeji, what then is enough? Because it's sometimes impossible to find balance. Abutimpo, wonderful question. Wonderful question in terms of what is enough and in finding balance. I don't know, and I'm thinking out loud here. So this is it's not a solution. But you know how when we ask the question of balance, when we talk about work and life, you will hear mostly the gurus will say that there's no such a thing as balance when it comes to balancing your work life and your or work and life. But you have to find what flows for you. I'm tempted to say that this would be a similar situation, right? Where then there is the illusion of a balance. And I don't think we should not strive to reach that balance. But more than anything, learning and developing yourself in whatever department in which you are trying to find a balance, you knowing more about a thing helps you to then navigate it the best way you can, I think. So that is basically that. Okay, so these says balance is finding the equal / necessary parts of life, so yeah, so we might find that how do you know that, okay, doing this is a little bit too much than not doing much of it? I don't know if we can find an answer to that, but yeah, basically that. Makupe, please come through. I see long comments there. Can say them out loud if you don't mind.
Ha o sa kgona go bala, teacher?
Ay, se ke le tired jwale mana
Ke
mme.
bathong.
Ebile ka kwala in 20 minutes time fela.
Ke batho.
Yeah.
So I think this question is important. Abuti Malume Mpho, Abuti Malume is asking.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a time where, hey, my uncle, I must invite my uncle here one day and he can speak for himself.
You've been. Can you please invite your uncle? You've been saying.
I'll send you, you know what? I'll send you a link to a podcast that he was on and you'll see if you see me and him. But anyway,
Please. Yeah.
And I'm sure he read it somewhere. I'm not saying he created it. About five, you can have like the 5 balls, and one of them is a glass. Ne? And what you need to do is determine which of those balls is a glass, and the other balls are rubber balls. You will be juggling work, friends, family, your mental health. What all of those balls they didn't get rubber, they didn't get glass, and you must make sure you never drop the glass ball, because the rubber balls can bounce back.
Correct.
If you drop work, it'll bounce back. If you drop maybe friends, they can bounce back. If you drop certain things, they can bounce back. Mara tse ding, once ya thubega, e thubegile.
True.
So you need to be able to, so I think the biggest thing for you to know or to perfectly or come to as close to perfect balance is prioritizing. And a lot of us reshapa ke prioritizing.
Much.
So I won't say whose ball it's if your glass ball is groove and then other things are rubber balls, then it's you have made an assessment of that in terms of your life and
Sure.
nothing we can do. But that's what I meant by that.
Okay. No, I think it's a good analogy. It's a good analogy. And I think in application would even consider aspects of seasons, right? In certain seasons, I don't know how I can connect that with the glass ball, but in certain seasons, certain things are more important than others. It's if I could make an example of Dimpo, we know what psychology will tell us, or I don't know which part of it, but hore, at a certain age, I think it's 0 to 4, 0 to 6, whichever one it is, where it's crucial for a child in terms of what sets a foundation for them. Then there's that 6 to 10 and whatever case that you can look at it. But what you do for a child who is 7 versus a child who is 4 would be different. And at that, and this is something that I just remember now. I think it was also one of these podcasts, and the person was saying that, I think it's the husband podcast or something along those lines, where the guy was saying that I have a child who's this age and a child who's much younger. The stage of the child who's much younger requires me more than the one who's older. And when I give attention to the younger one much more than the older one feels neglected. But I still needed to find a way in communicating that this age, you had my full attention. I'm just not depriving this one of that, but also that does not mean that you're not important at this point in time, you know? And I think that's where also the beauty of having a male and a mother and a father in the same house is that there will be a period in a child's life where the mother plays a very big role. Then there's a period in a child's life where the father plays a very big role. And we find the juggle and the balance across the ages of that one child. Then it becomes a little bit more difficult also when now there's more children at it. So we need to find that how do we navigate in that. So I think that is the best way I can try and articulate that for you, Abutimpo, and adding what Sabs has been saying in the comments there, Kuti. Also be okay with, I don't even want to say mistakes, being intentional about putting something at the back end or putting something lost. Sometimes we feel that guilt of saying, yeah, me putting this thing last, you know, I know very well that some people in my life who are important or that I value in my life will get the lost of me or whatever the case. Be okay with it. I think that's what we struggle with at times. When you're okay with the fact that I'm gonna give this full attention and this I'm not, it's gonna be neglected, and it's okay for it to be neglected at this point in time because it can always come back, as Makupe was saying. It's a rubber ball that can bounce back. Sometimes it's not a rubber ball, it's a plastic ball. It might not bounce as high as a rubber ball or not bounce at all for whatever reason, and be okay with that. You know, we do take knocks in life. Certain things need to take a knock in our lives. And we just need to find the way of being okay. I see your hand, Makipa, come through.
Hey, I just remembered something that is so important
Zala,
that
Zala.
Ausdi was talking about earlier about mentorship, right? And parenting. I think also earlier on about being Litsibingi, and we are in this trap also of being so profound about everything that sometimes you are going to try and mentor a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old who cannot comprehend these lessons. They cannot process those things yet. At this point, you are still molding. You know what I mean? An example that comes to mind that I think Sabelo knows the story. Yo, guys, I have someone who's close to me, and yeah, right? And she was around 3 or 4 at the time, because I know she was taught nabolela, but the sentence ne di so kopane fandiwan.
Sure.
So homegirl, the parent is like, yena o batla gore ngwana a ska tseba gore a ska ba controlled by the gender roles and
Okay.
you know dilo tse bjalo. But ngwana o na leng 4 or 3 ha tsebe ntho tseo. You're like, I was so passionate about, you know, I don't, and Sabelo will tell you, like, I generally back off, especially with like fundamental principles when it comes to parenting. But this one, Kabeka, it's like, okay, ma'am, how? Like, because then the conversation was, okay, Kabitsa ngwana ka okay, let's say ngwana lebitso la gae ke Tshimo. I'm only saying Tshimo because Sabelo's here and her daughter's Tshimo, but the parent is not Sabelo. Disclaimer. So I called Tshimo and I'm like, Tshimo, come here. Tshimo comes. And then I ask her, are you a girl? And she says no, because I get now, mama gage o mmoditse gore dilo tsa di gender a di count. Uri no. Oh, are you a boy? Uri no. Abo? Okay, what are you? Uri I am a Timo. Abo? So I'm like, you see there, what is a Timo? Because children take things literally at a certain age. There's no way that she can process. Yo, guys, this thing stressed me out so much. Because not only
They
is
don't
she.
even know the meaning of their name to
Do
begin
you
with. They just
understand?
know that that's what I'm called as.
Do you understand? Like, can I solve for X? Like, I am X at this point. And whatever you make X to be as a parent, your child is going to take it. They're not going to interrogate it. They will literally take it as I am an X, you know? And which is another topic for another day. But for me, it was important that one, she knows that she's a girl, and two, that she's a black girl. Because the world knows that she's a girl and she's a black girl.
Sure.
Not that she's a Timu. You know? And the kids batla o tlhatswa mo, because now Ausi is the girliest girl. She likes pink. She likes Kore, she is a girl. And also she does not mess with boys. Like, she doesn't like boys. So that was the irony of the century there. But the moral of the story is, guys, yes, I know that being a parent is like, tricky. Mara, sometimes you need to think, okay, now I'm mentoring, now I'm parenting, now I'm it's about basic biological needs right now. It's about, certain instilling certain values. It's about go kopanya language. It's about discipline to a certain point. Not entertaining tantrums, because if you reward tantrums with attention, they fester. Not pacifying your kids with screens because you don't want to parent. Ngwana halla o mo hloma ka screen gore a thole, but you don't actively parent the child. O nyaka cocomelon a godise ngwana gago. So things like that. Can we wait for the profound things later when they can actually understand what you mean?
Sure.
Please, nyancela tu yo.
He's a lot. He's a lot. And just a kind reminder that Siavana will have passed. So if you still want to throw in your comments, please come through. Sis D, come through, Mama.
Yo, hey, Makupe, you brought up stuff, eh?
We can't hear you anymore, Sis D.
Oh no, can you
Now
hear
we
me?
can. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thanks. I was saying Makupe really brought up stuff, in raising children. I picked up from what she said. She referred to at least 3 things that are very important. And as parents, sometimes we misinterpret the concept in raising children. When people say, for instance, you must be open with your children. Talk to them, tell them anything. They must know everything. It is such a blank check, and it's very dangerous, because that is when parents will not consider the age of the child, to say you must be very careful for whatever you say to your children, the information or the hobua with your children, and being open, that you do not traumatize your children unintentionally. Give them age-appropriate responses. Because sometimes it's not about you as a parent volunteering information to your children. It is your children coming to you with questions. The fact that they are asking a question doesn't mean they are ready for the raw answer to the question. You still have to be careful that their age will determine what you do, what you say, the answer you give to them. And another thing I picked up is that, the culpability. Say in raising your children, you have to talk about being a criminal, doing wrong things and all of that. The culpability, yeah, a child is even legally an issue. To say, does a 3-year-old, 4-year-old shoot somebody dead, and are they going to be legally liable? They're not. But you should still let the 4-year-old know that this is a dangerous weapon. I don't think you can go to the point of saying to them, somebody will be unalived when you use this thing. But it's enough for a 4-year-old to know that this is a dangerous weapon. Never touch it. It's enough. But when they are 10 years, it can be unalived.
Yes,
Yes.
continue.
So you can go to that point with a 10-year-old. So age appropriate information is very critical because you could traumatize your children whilst thinking you are educating them. And I think the last thing that what Makup was talking about, that the child was taught hore because the parent doesn't want to be the gender
about
allocations. Yes, thank you. That you are not helping your child because you are creating an identity issue right there. You are creating an identity problem for your child because they can't identify themselves as anything except their name. It goes to a point where the parent will neglect go ruta ngwana from at least the time when they can talk, gore address ya ko gae ke eng. I had an incident with one of my youngest children, crash, and then they came home with a friend after crash because it was not far, so I would not fetch them from crash. They would just walk home, and they came with a friend on that day. And then when I came back from work, I find there's a child here, couple 5:05, and I'm thinking, who is this child? And I've never seen her, Kuntu. And they said, ke Moketekete. Okay, Moketekete, it's now late, you must go home. And she said, ke kamole, pointing some direction. And I said, kamole ko kae? And then she said, kamole, how jiga kamole? And it was such an issue. I struggled until I had to go to the principal wako crash for ampe address ya ngwana o. So sometimes we neglect very important things that can be a challenge to our children growing up. So let us just try and say, when you say, I don't want my child to know the gender roles, that's fine. They must be able to cook for themselves, must be able to clean, they must be able to do garden, that's fine. But make sure that you don't create identity crisis for the child whilst doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. Well put, Mama D. Much appreciated once more. Thank you so much. Abutumpo,
Hey, brother KG, okay?
how are you, sir?
I'm all good, I'm all good.
You're looking handsome as always.
Stop it. One thing I appreciate about the brothers, ne, is that we can compliment each other and nobody can come and say, hey, are you sure you are straight?
Honored your tale. Otherwise, didn't sir.
Two things. I'll just quickly run back on the one other balance thing. I think with finding balance is whichever one takes the back seat.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard because, let's say for now, I decide to work more than be at home, right? Then then my children are gonna grow up and say, our father was never around. He was always busy. What? Marakamo, you've got every single thing you need. You know what I mean? You're provided for. You go to good schools and so on 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 and so on.
Sure.
And then, secondly, if I then decide to spend more time at home than at work, then go high short. There's not food by the end of the month. School fees are separate. You know what I mean? Kids don't have clothes. You know, and the crazy part is that the way, for me personally, the way I was raised, I'd see my uncles, you know what I mean, going to work so that go high you know. 'Cause, me, I grew up in a village and we had like 5 houses inside the same yard, so we're all a family, you know.
Yeah.
So the uncles would go to work and would hardly ever see them. Would see them got holidays, maybe this random month end. We know for Christmas, everybody's home, you know. So it's that's a difficult one, you know. It's a sacrifice, you know. If you choose to provide over your presence, if you can live with it, then that's what you do. If you can't, then you don't. Right?
Yeah.
And then also Leah me, I'm gonna say it as it is. The parents are declare let's say propaganda ya America and want to apply it here in South Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like, no, my daughter cannot decide what she is. She can't decide because she was born a girl. You know what I mean? He was born a boy. What you say? Whatever happened to times when if the child onale totolos ke moshimane, if onale ke ngwanyana, you know, so now, you know what I mean? So I think South Africans need to get rid of that propaganda. We need to just go back to basic science. XX chromosomes, XY chromosomes. Chile. You know what I mean? But I think as well through it all, I will personally say that as a parent, I'll always try to protect my kids from that kind of society, you know, which will try to paint a whole different thing than what it is that I am teaching them. Simple thing, because right now I cannot say I believe in Christ. Then ke batla ngwanaka I decide the gender ha ke jwang mara ke moshima. You know what I mean? Because there's at some point in time, you know what I mean, a child who's at the age of 3 can be literally girl child, likes blue, doesn't mean she wants to be a boy. She's fascinated by colors. She's trying to discover things, you know. A boy child fascinated by pink, it's colors. You know what I mean? If now a boy child is fascinated by rainbow, but this one is part of the LGBTQ what community, you know?
Yeah.
So I think as parents we need to be very careful what it is that we teach our kids and what it is that we instill in them, because at the end of the day it's going to affect them, and then they'll deal with worse things than what we dealt with, you know. Because if my issue growing up was that my father was not around, then it means that I need to be more around for my son so that he doesn't go through the same thing I went through, you know, even if it means I sacrifice work for that, you know. If my dad was always around but he could never provide, then it's oh snap, I need to provide more. Like it's there's not 100% balance, but there's a way of doing things so that you can cut that generational curse now time again this thing, so it's fine or it's thing get right in faith, you know. You know, guys will be like like a horse in faith to hold together, so time and this you know, we can't do that. We can't keep passing on our parents' mistakes onto our kids. So at the end of the day, different strokes, different folks, but through it all we need to do is that you know what I mean, they need to understand who God is. Then the battle learn forgiveness, battle learn acceptance, and not to compare themselves to TikTok or more TV, more Instagram.
Yeah. Well said. And I think it deserves.
In this podcast are solely those of the individuals participating in the conversation and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast host or any affiliated organization. Listener discretion is advised.
The way I always forget to play this thing. But yeah, much appreciated, Abutimpa.
Yes, brother.
Thank you for dethroning me from the disclaimer chair. Thank you. Gore ke nna jalo ha go bolela nna go ba le di-disclaimer. Batho ba bula di-camera setse ba dira di-disclaimer. Hey! Yo! Siyabonga.
My Cooper, how are you doing, sister?
Let me mute my mic.
Hi.
Ke shapo abuti malome. Ganti montle so.
KG, I gotta go. I'll be listening on the panel.
So you only take the compliments when they're coming from a guy? How? How?
This is dodgy. Why do you only accept compliments from guys?
Shebang.
Bona le sabele o tlo go botsa gore o motle. Bona.
Mamela ke chamegile gore ne ke le busy yaanong ke re a ke sa gona go iragalang like oh my god so nketsang
Dilo tsa today. Dilo tsa kajeko.
no but I have a question and this is a question I asked on Friday dumelang how you guys please have been here Koketso I can't be the only one who thought that Mpho was a yellow bone.
The minute he said he's Tonga, I knew he's not a yellow bone. I'm sorry.
But you
Don't cancel me. Don't cancel me. Guys, it was just an association in my head. Okay, I came to Tonga. And then there was this other time when he was talking about other things.
What else did you think?
I thought, you know why? Let me tell you how I reached my conclusion. And a little bit careful.
Disclaimer after KG, disclaimer after.
Abuti Mpho letsatsi le leng re bolela ka size. Oh.
Yes.
I will the way, hey, big, bombastic. There's no cara. This one is dark.
And
it's taller and over like any size. It's bombastic. It means that
thumbs up, Papa. This thumbs up.
KG,
I just knew.
This part must not go to YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, no, Leroy is here. He's listening.
Yeah, this part must not go to YouTube. There's no Katala paste or whatever it is. Cut and paste.
That day that day when we were speaking about size, he made a disclaimer. He said, "I am Tsonga." I was like, "This is where I keep quiet."
Yeah, what? And then today he's showing us gore ke Motsonga Obian.
No,
understand that.
So I was judged on Friday. I was judged on Friday because it was the first time I saw him opening his camera on Friday. And I said I didn't know. And I said I didn't know what he looked like. And Leroy was like, no, but he's been opening his camera. I'm like, it's fine, but I haven't seen him. But as much as he said he was Tonga, he's got a yellow bone nigger voice going on. I honestly thought him was a yellow bone.
My yellow bone, I had Sabelo, Leroy yellow bone. So over the Leroy vibes.
Utra, compare Katie's voice to Leroy's voice in Punyan. Compare voice ya Leroy ya Mpho and compare voice ya Mpho ya KG. Or Mutwaka Mahlatsi. Compare those voices.
He sounds like he's dark-headed.
Thank you very much.
Ole o sounded like African man. Understand?
And he like waiting. So Leroy and Mpho have yellow bone voices going on. Like you can just hear every yellow bone.
We all sound creepy as fuck, though. It's about to the yellow bone. It's about horror. So okay, sorry guys. Dumelang bogolo re ke kind like my apologies for I'm late guys. Go ntse thata fela in my health system, but I only have like one question for Subs. Subs bula mic ha o swa.
I'm here.
Subs like what ke salo bone guy wena tsotsoma ile yellow bone.
Yeah. I've
Exactly.
Guys, I've seen them. I've seen them. I dated one. Remember, I always say to you guys that, and Koketo, I think, is also one of the people that say, hey, we're not rata my yellow bone. And it's not the fact that I rata my yellow bone. So I'm into dark guys, but dark guys never ask me out. So I always get these yellow bones. So I know what yellow bones sound like.
Do you ask them out?
KG, please talk. Please talk now. And guys, what the difference between voice KG? KG, please speak up too.
Also, Rona we sound like
Exactly my point.
Read my comment. Read my comment out loud when I would KG go out in Horori.
Hi.
Read it.
Cutting, there's a light skinned Tsonga people.
They're all like
I
I mean, Shoma Joe's not Tsonga.
Exactly.
Leroy, come on.
Finally, SABC. I went at DSTV.
Mara, I'm gonna let Leroy speak again, and then immediately, KG, you must speak, and then you can close the show.
Anyway, guys, I got Lona Burger says it's about noise. Like,
Anyway, that anyway. Anyway,
why am I catching strays now?
Wait,
What are
guys.
you guys doing, guys?
What are you guys doing? Anyway, what are you guys doing? Guys, my yellow bone, please work on your voices.
Hey, KG, Ruki, where I not tell them for Rapao, Luelan. Oh, Mudima. What else have my Farat?
No,
In any
but
case.
I'm impressed, Shem. I'm not gonna lie. I really thought you were a yellow bone. I'm happy to see that you're not.
But to me, wait.
Yay.
And then like a fragile.
Sorry.
Allow me to thank everyone who came through. Yo, I wanna Leonard Ariyo. And it's the first time I'm seeing Leonard. I don't know what that yo is about.
Leonard, sorry, we are not always like this. I'm so sorry. So guys, I apologize. I sincerely apologize. I'm sorry.
We are God's children here, Braga. We are saved by the blood. So, very
It's
so yes,
it's amazing. Leonard, if you put Leonard on the panel and he speaks, you will hear he's got a dark man's voice.
And how do you know that?
Because I've heard Leonard speak. Hey, bo.
I'm saying, Mamel, are experimenting. I'm saying Leonard, and then he can speak, and Leroy can speak up.
Leonard, come to the panel.
Leonard, please grace us, please. I don't deal with a lot of dark men. So whenever I see a dark man, I really appreciate. I do, guys. I do appreciate. Leonard, please come through. I'm gonna invite him.
Yo.
Okay.
Speak. Hi, Leonard.
Dumelang, why are you guys doing
Christ.
You're now deviating from the whole subject, no, Salida.
Okay, wait. Leroy, speak.
Yes, again. That
did not help anything. Leroy, you just made it worse, dog.
No, no, Kimiriana, Parakim Hosisuano, Jimirian, it's in a lazy. Janum Huriana, Ribuan Carrera Banana. Home Husiam.
Leonard sounds like a beautiful man. No, Makupe, Leonard sounds like a dark, beautiful man. He sounds dark, like. Guys, please close the live. Bye, guys.
Yeah, no, I because if we don't close this live, I don't know which direction it's taking.
Week.
Clearly, week in Makupe.
Sorry for objectifying you when I Leonard, but
Makupe, go get him. Barry Leonard, open the camera. He's gone. Makupe. No. Okay, so do you know how you always say that? You know how you and our other cousin are into Zulu men. You know how you say whenever Udin will come or whatever, any other Zulu man will like speak proper Zulu.
Yes.
Well, what are that feeling that you get that that when I hear a dark man, that's how I feel.
Imagine a Zulu plus that voice. Yo,
Hi.
you faint to emekana, you faint every day.
Collapsation.
Yo, even you behave, how about Khalima wa utra? You say yebo baba on demand.
Ma, you don't even say yebo
Where
baba.
was this?
You just move along. You just
Bosisi, bengicela sivale le nto le. Somplift doch, ne? Ngiyanizwa nithi amaZulu enzani phela.
Cima. Cut.
Bengicela sicime lapho ke mfowethu.
Keji.
Mfowethu, awucime lapho mfowethu. Hey Kate.
Everyone who came and stayed up to this point, I'm sorry, I apologize. But we appreciate you for coming through. We really appreciate everyone who has weighed in, Sis D and Osmalebo, and everyone else who came through. Thank you so much for coming through, and let's hope that in the bit that we discussed this topic of wounds and scars that we get from our parents. Sister spoke about something where we need to find a way to forgive from the point of understanding that these people now they are people, they make mistakes, like Usabs was saying. No one has been a parent before their first child, and even as they have the second child, they have never been parents to 2 kids. Even when they have the third child, they've never been parents to 3 kids. So at any point in time, parenting is just as we move, but you can do your best to prepare yourself, the necessary counseling, educating yourself a bit more about yourself and what you bring to this parenting business, and what you need to learn to either unlearn what you have been taught, and fix what needs to be fixed. And the goal is not to be a perfect parent, because that does not exist, but to be more aware of what you are doing and what the consequences can be for your children, for you, for your family, and generations to come. So let's try, and even when we are fighting the wounds that we have, or rather we try not to repeat them, let's still be aware of what we're doing, because there's those elements of now overcorrecting, like Makupe spoke, and just doing too much, because you're doing it for a point of hurt or pain, or fear, and not so much from a point of wisdom, being knowing of, okay, this is the right thing to do at this point in time. This is the better thing to do at this point in time. Makupe make an analogy of juggling spheres. One sphere could be a glass, one could be metal, one could be rubber, one could be wood. Knowing which one should not fall, and if one does fall, how do you deal with that? Because also we say it is okay for certain things to take the back seat. Make peace with that and move, but do know that there will always be consequences to everything else. Is it law 1 or law 3? But whichever law that is, when there is an action, there will be a reaction one way or the other. So I hope the little bit chat that we've had has and can assist us to go forward. And if you'd like us to have a bit more, send the topic suggestions and we will definitely engage them if they are within our bounds. We can't talk about everything because some we are not that well vested in it. Some, we are cool tackling them. And none of these conversations substitute necessary therapy, seeing a doctor, being diagnosed, getting professional assistance. None of what we do here replaces that. If anything, it will always encourage it. But here it's just so that you pick up something that you can at least run with and go do a bit of research if you don't know much about it, or introduce stuff that we can learn and also go do research about. And with that, I will give the panelists an opportunity to say something before I close. Sabelo?
So I mentioned Hori, this parenting topic it's a sensitive one for me, and Mpo Christ asked Hori, like as a parent or as a child, and I said as a parent because I am raising Timoloko with 1,000 people, and I feel like sometimes my ways are so invalidated, because only in the name of no, someone knows better and someone has 5 kids and this one is older, and I'm just here as this tiny person and I'm a first timer, and I am now learning to fight and stick on my ways, and half of the time it's not always the greatest ways, but you know what, I will allow myself to do whatever. And then if I have to sit back and take time and assess it, I do that. But the biggest thing for me was learning how to instill my ways and sticking on them and not changing just because KG came through and said, no, but do it like this. Or because when she was younger, I promise you, from when she was born up until she was a year old, it was tough. From what brand of nappies to use, to what sort of porridge I must make for her, and it's these small things. And I was like, I'm a first timer, allow me to have that excitement and mess up and make mistakes and give myself a pat on the back or say, actually, you're doing great, and I couldn't really have those moments because whenever I had to do something, and even when I knew that I don't know how to do this, but let me do it and fail, someone is already on, no, move, let me do it for you because I know, and they know. And sometimes, yes, it's the help, it's appreciated, and the person sometimes comes innocently because they really want to help, because I don't know that. But I'm at a point where I'm like, allow me, I want to learn, I want to do it, make a mistake and then learn how to do it, but that was taken from me. So for me, that part is still difficult. I mean, even now, Kagiso will tell you, I shouted her a lot, and someone will say, when you khalima ngwana, and then ebe Allah, because I'm saying no, she can't have marshmallows at 9 o'clock at night, and then someone will say, hi man, sabelusile was, and then they say come, as if they now painting me as this terrible or horrible person, and I want her utumuloko eat sweets, guys. It's not, no, she will want marshmallows at 9, and I want her to understand, Khori, from ka 6 you can't have liquids because we are now not sleeping ka nappy anymore.
Yeah.
From ka 6 or 7 you can't be having sweets, or you can I choose on what days I give her sweets. I don't give her sweets every day, but now because there are sweets in the cupboard, and then when she comes, she says, can I have rascals or can I have marshmallows? And then people just open the cupboard and give her sweets. But ask me, like, I'm here, ask me if, say, Sabelo, can I give her sweets? Because I've got a way of doing things. Yeah, so for me, Yeah, there's no manual, like I said, to Christ, there isn't a perfect way and it can never be enough. You just do what you know best. And the most important part is for you to move back and reflect and assess. And like, because I was saying that sometimes also we are so stubborn because Kagiso hanabana or hanabana and akasimpot, you know. So sometimes for most of the time, you just need to move back and just assess your ways. And after realizing that this was a mistake or that you didn't rectify your actions.
True. True that. All right. Thank you for that, Sabzi. Abudili.
Yeah, no, subs drop is very key. Guys, dropping past there, and yeah, no, you are 100% right there. Sometimes the best advice might come like what's that from the weirdest places where people like they don't know shit about it. But yeah, man, I know it's me. Ga ka utlwa sentle gore ba re keng sharp ne le bua ka eng today, but I believe you guys killed it properly, and yo man, like shout out.
Sure, Questa. Makupe.
Yo, I don't know why you guys are insisting on dragging me to hell with you. I mind my own business.
Who cares?
Which cat not?
Lobes night weekend.
That prince.
Yeah.
Usuzohlala full time.
Uqale umsebenzi omusha actually today.
Leroy, you're not on mute.
What is happening?
Evo! Evo!
What is happening?
Leroy!
What my yellow bone, my light skin nigga, that one.
Yo! Hi, Kesana. I didn't know I was all ears. I was going to punch anyone who was going to talk.
Because for me, I was confused. Wait, is Makupe speak? Wait, what? Maybe I was like, it's a feedback or something. Khanti,
Rutile. Okay. I've got my serious face on now. One, ke kopa go kgalema Sabelo ne.
Okay.
Sabelo, ngwana ko gae. Bula mic. Wa tseba gore ke a go rata ne. Ke kopa o tlogele go body shame voice ya Abutimpo.
I'm so sorry. I said sorry.
Lona la phapha lona lotlhe me rata ditaba lona.
And then Kamo Leroy voice I said robegile because of your shenanigans.
Yeah,
Now Leroy is there by door. And then I look at Tito. But anyway.
You need to blame the dark man, and I think it was a good idea to bring Leonard here. And Kate is also not doing justice to it, so blame the dark man.
You, that guys. Okay, fine. Now I'm serious. On a serious note, as somebody who is not a parent yet, or let me just leave it at who's not a parent.
That's a lie. But okay.
Okay, who has not birthed her own children yet?
Thank you.
You know what? You guys are doing an amazing job. You are doing well. I know that you can doubt yourself sometimes, and I know that it can be difficult, but you are doing well. Trust and believe, I believe, Modimo agase go fe that job of being a parent or that duty of being a parent and not equip you with the right tools to become a parent. But then you allow almost external factors to take away from the tools that you are naturally equipped with to do your job. You know what to do. You know it. It's there. It's just that sometimes, Batu, it's either Kebatu presently or people from your past, your parents and other things that cloud that voice and almost silence the tools that you have been given by God. or the universe or the creator. Yo, repeala, see disclaimer. But anyway, you are loved, and I mean, bosabelo batseba. Anybody who is a parent and is close to me knows that I am here for them when I can be there. So big ups to you guys. Heal your inner child so that you can be the parent that you need to be and the parent that you are made to be. Amen.
With that being said,
And with that said, my leader, like, look at something, ne? Guys, as my good leader here would say, spread love. Yeah. Kubeka lapho.
Not me. That was
Yeah,
never my
you.
line.
Nigga, that was your line, nigga.
That
Come
is
on.
my line.
Exactly you. Exactly, and then you said spread love. Our subs help me there,
That
bruh.
was
Our
never
subs.
me. That
No
was
way.
Skami. That was never me.
No ways.
Nah, KG, that was
Can
you.
never be KG. No ways. No ways. KG will always say,
Even like,
"Kgolang go dlala ka mmele, mmele ke tempele ya Modimo." A re dlaleng ka di voices, please.
And there's a poster to prove it that you did. That is there on our thing. That has those two lines. Nothing else.
guys,
That
I
was you and
remember this,
Stanley.
man.
That was
But
you and Stanley.
Even
But
Mfonyana on some days.
guys, home bill. Yes, I'm high, but Shaba, as in like, and as in, please listen to me. I remember last year Santika Spana go working kana. KG used to say spread love, not legs.
That's not even how KG speaks.
Monatwa thing, we have records. Let's go to YouTube. Bring me that video where I say that.
That's not even how you speak, KG. If anyone knows you, that's not even how you speak.
That could never be my language, dog.
No way.
Maponyana, please come help me. Maponyana, please come help me.
While we wait for Mponyana, ga re dlaleng ka di voices, re ska dlala ka tempele ya Ntate Modimo.
Exactly, spread love and not legs. Just like KG used to say it. And I said it, man.
Guys, tlogelang Leroy, man. He's having a tough day. KG, just say
He's
yes.
going through the most. Wait.
He's having a tough day. Just say
fine.
yes.
Please, Makupa.
Go take medication, my boy, and be alright. Go take your meds, my dog,
Fine.
and be alright.
It's okay, it's fine. But anyway, guys, good night. Bye-bye.
Keep it my guys.
Bye.